You know what's crazy? Well,
Uh,
we can keep this in there, but like, you know, it's not a good game when the fans are not happy and they still won.
yeah,
Like, I, my mentions are a shit show right now.
I I
They
am very
won, man. They won.
I am very curious to see what
Well,
the
you don't want to see it.
comments are gonna be like. We'll see. We'll see. All right, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can keep that in because I mean, it's not like you're saying anything crazy. It's not wrong. Like I've seen it already too. Welcome back to another Storm post-game report. First win of the season. So two home games to begin the 2025 season. Seattle loses in Phoenix pretty ugly. And then I guess you could say they won in Dallas ugly, right? Uh I was saying to Christian, and I mean, Christian knows Dallas, right? I just like I have memories of playing Dallas because over the last few years, especially since we started doing coverage of this team about 4 or 5 years ago, um, anytime the Storm play the Wings, like it is never pretty for either team. It is a slugfest. Um, that's kind of what we got tonight. I mean, Seattle had the 56-point first half. I'm reading that. Yeah, math. I only took one math class in college. I took a bunch of writing classes. 56 points in the first half. So you're like, all right, this is not bad, But Dallas has this 20-point third quarter outscores Seattle by 10, makes it a tight one, right? And as Christian continues to point out, like you did against the Phoenix in the Phoenix game, I mean, I think your one of your quotes verbatim was, "Where would Seattle be without Skylar Diggins, Nneka Ogwumike, and Gabby Williams?" Because those three shouldered the load in this one. I mean, see if I can do this really quickly. Yeah, 61 of Seattle, 79 points tonight. Mm. Um, oh man, goodness gracious. Yeah, I mean, Neck had a monster game. 23 points, 18 boards. Broke a ton. I mean, set a bunch of milestones. I was thinking about this when Jess, one of our other Storm writers, Jess put out her um kind of roster overview for opening night, but NECA has a lot of records that she's close to, and I mean she's been knocking them down. To begin 800 career assists. Last game I think it was entering the steals. She passed someone for if I'm correct. I think you mentioned it on the
Yeah,
post
she
game.
passed Delisha Milton Jones. I think it
Yes.
was. I can't remember what exactly this was. I think it was rebounds. It might have been. I might be
Mm,
wrong. But I have
it
to go
was a
back and check. It
milestone.
was something that you passionately, one of the best players to ever play the game. It's
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like the other day we saw that one Asian Wilson record that she broke.
Oh,
So I'm like, okay, she skipped Candace Parker. Now she's breaking my goats and you can catch his records. I will not have this.
not to
But
make
no,
yeah, that's a
man.
good shout.
Yeah.
But it's like the main point is NECA continues to like add to her Hall of Fame resume, right? Skylar pushed the pace 21 again in this one, nine assists. So that's nice to see. And Gabby, I mean Gabby Williams, folks were a little bit worried about Gabby after game one. I'm like, sure, but and it's not disrespect. I think it's fact. And I think I talked about it last episode. Gabby Williams is somewhat inconsistent offensively, right? I mean, she hasn't been able to put up, get a consistent rhythm. I mean, 3 for 4 from three, 17 points in this one. But I think the biggest thing that stood out, and I think Skylar and or NECA shouted it out, that she played all but 1 minute in this game. Like it is that is remarkable. And I think I put this in um somewhere, but I was like, hey, you're probably gonna need Gabby to step up even more, even though she plays a bigger role with Jordan Horston out for the year, right? Like you talk about two players who are extremely versatile, extremely lengthy defensively, and can provide that spark. Like I'd love to have both of them, but you don't have them right now, right? So, and then kind of a weird bench game. I mean, Lee had 13 minutes, but went 0 for 5. That was a tough one for her. Dom had 1 minute and hit one jumper. Uh, I know that's a topic of discussion. And Eweezy, 3 points, 11 minutes off the bench. So, and one block for Erica. Like, good for Erica. Christian, you saw more of this game than I did. I don't know. What did you see from this one? Because as you mentioned, I know fans aren't really happy about it. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to get your first win. I don't know.
I mean, they won, right? They're 1-1, so you got that monkey off your back. But it was probably one of the most ugliest wins I've seen them win since I've been on the Storm beat. Like, and I feel bad because the ending of the game was great. I mean, you go in the fourth quarter, you outscore Dallas 13-10 after getting outscored 20-10 in the third quarter, right? But in that third quarter, you give up an 11-3 run in the last 3.5 minutes, you know? So it's like the defense came in when they needed it to, but at the same time, there's no way in the world that that game should be that close by 8 points. You got Enrique and Dejanay Carrington going 4 for 23. No, four for 22. Like that's
Oh
bad.
man, yeah.
It shouldn't have been that close. But I will say this: not everyone, but there was a lot of worry about the Storm's offense after game one, and rightfully so. And I still think there's a lot of cause for concern. Like, don't get me wrong, they shot one of their best 3-point games in a very long time, going down for 15, one of the most accurate games they've had over the last 3 seasons. But as great as Gabby played, as great as Nneka played, as great as Skylar played, they were the only three players to make more than 3 field goals. I know I feel like I'm, a broken record here, but that's not going to cut it. It didn't cut it against the Phoenix Mercury. It was a team that looks like they're going to be a championship contender this year. It barely cut it against Dallas, who returned 3 players, not 3 starters, 3 players from last
Yeah.
season. I mean, there are just so many stretches throughout that game where I'm like, is anyone else not named Gabby, Nneka, and Skylar going to step up? And they did it. They did it for a majority of the game. Um, I'm when it comes to it's mostly the reserves, in my opinion.
Mm.
Um, I'm willing to give Ezi some grace coming from a long Euro season. I mean, she went pretty deep. If she got some watched overseas, I mean, she's a champion now. Um, yeah, it's hard to get a real gauge of this team because we're only 2 games. I'm,
Mm.
I need 8 more to really see what this is going to be. But I will say another thing. Dom getting 1 minute and 21 seconds. I tweeted it after the game, but if Seattle hopes to get a high playoff seed, Dominique Malonga cannot afford to not be on the floor. She can't get the Nika Mule treatment from last year, where yeah, it's just tunnel fits and pregame pictures.
Jesus.
Like as harsh as that may sound, that's what it basically was. We can't do that again this year. You traded Drew Lloyd, you got the number 2 pick. I mean, I understand drafting the best available talent. I get that. But if you're not going to use Dom, and then maybe you should have went somewhere else in the draft. Maybe you should have got a Sonya Citron, who's leading rookies right now for 2 games with 17 points. I mean,
He's
she's shooting
cold.
over 40% from the three. She's cold. Like she does everything that you need. And it's like, well, what was the point of going at number 2 if you're not going to use her? Again, she's coming from a long Euro season. I get that. But 1 minute and the second game, we can't really use the excuse of that's what the game dictated because that's not what it was. I mean, the game was, within, Seattle's hands almost the entire stretch. I mean, Dallas had a couple of runs where it's like, okay, they're getting back into it, but Seattle was in control for most of the game, whether it felt like it or not. So for her to have 1 minute, that's problematic to me, especially considering when you look at the way this team produces offense and the way they just produce on both sides of the floor. Dom is going to have to be a crucial part of that, especially when you trade away Joe Lloyd. I know people don't want to hear that. I know fans don't want to hear that. I know the team probably doesn't want to hear that. But at the end of the day, you lost a 20-point per game score. That
Yeah.
production has to come from somewhere. It's not coming from Erica Wheeler. It's not coming from Lexi Brown right now. Where is it coming from? I
It
mean, culture and vibes can only get you so far. So
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna see.
It's yeah, I mean it's really interesting to see, like you mentioned, it's not like this is how the game flowed. And I'd argue that, the game demanded more minutes considering how much you played your starters, right? I mean, like, we're calling her for again. I guess with the size, it psychs me out because I think center when I think of the size she has. But we've got AC playing 36 at 37 years old. Uh, Nneka, I wouldn't mess with those minutes because of how she played, right? But I mean, you could argue you could spell her, but probably not playing Dom at 4. And then with Gabby playing 39, I mean, like, I'd argue you need to give AC, Gabby, you spell them and right? So, and also, and sorry, like, this is gonna dominate my head. The two things that are gonna dominate my headspace this summer are basketball and baseball. I think about the Mariners with some of their prospects. Some of these guys, you just gotta let it ride out. You gotta let them make mistakes, right? You gotta let them learn. Because if they, I guess I'll use my swear word. You're gonna fuck up. Like, you gotta be able to learn to fuck up. Because if you fuck up and you get sit on the bench, how are you learning? How are you applying right? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, man, I'm confused by that. And I don't know if you want to go too deep into it, but I just think it's fascinating how much, again, we're going to bring this up because these are words from your general manager and your head coach, but to put in so much confidence in Alexi Brown and Isaiah Cook and them to not even play at all in this game
Let's get into it. I got
is
time.
so okay. I mean, I'm just like, hey, I mean, we expressed concern. I think you and I did. I think Rowan and I did about minutes when Skylar Diggins is off the court. Okay. Erica Wheeler, is going to take some of those minutes. She did 11 minutes in this one. I'm not worried about Wheezy. I'm truly not. I am worried about number 8 and number 7. And for them to not get any minutes in this one is fascinating. Are you trusting a 37-year-old Alicia Clark, to help you more offensively? And don't get me wrong, she had two threes in this one, and I'm sorry, I know she plays the three, but and again, you could bring in the Dom argument here as well. If Gabby's playing the two, why the hell is she still playing 39 minutes? Like, I know she did, right? But it seems like malpractice almost to have someone play essentially the whole game. And this is game two. If like this is game 7 or something, then sure, let's ride out. Let's go. But game two, I don't know, man. It says something to me about your belief in them, right? I don't know. Well, what do you think? Because that's mm,
I don't think that's too far off. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. I know it's 2 games into the season, but when you need a bucket in both of these games, and there's been players on the court that have played 30 plus minutes and can't do that for you in those 30 plus minutes, you would think that we're going to look elsewhere. We're going to go to the bench and see what Zaya can give us. I mean, Zaya can get you a stop. She can get you a bucket. She delivers rain, sleet, or shine. Rain, sleet, or shine. You know, Lexi Brown, when she's healthy, she's one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. She's healthy. She says she doesn't foresee missing any games this season. So it's like,
mm,
well, again, I know they went 9 for 11 from three in the first half, 9 for 15, and overall didn't make a single three in the second half. I mean, I guess I'll excuse that because they went 3 for 17 in the first game against Mercury.
yeah.
But I mean, it feels like they kind of reverted back into their previous style of offense. I
Mm,
mean, they weren't actively cutting. I mean, people were just standing around waiting for the ball to get to them, and it's like it's not gonna cut it. It's just not. Um, yeah, I'm thinking about the process of all of it. Really, the first players off the bench.
mm,
Um, it feels like based off it's again it's 2 games, but it feels like there's an unwillingness to go to the bench and use a 3 guard lineup. I mean, we've seen a 3 big lineup for
yeah.
maybe 2 minutes, maybe if that, against the Sun, I believe. No, was it the Sun? No, I think it was the Mercury. It was the Mercury because Dom was in there with Lee Rue
Oh,
and
yes.
Nneka, I believe. I'm like, okay, so Dom was playing the 3. No, it's Nneka. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. I mean, Nneka can shoot. I'm cool with that. But like you have to be creative. I mean, Seattle is not going to shoot nothing 15 from three again this season. I doubt it. This is one of those performances where it's like, okay, you showed up, you showed out, but that's not going to be the main style of attack for you to go
Not
on through the rest of the
sustainable.
season. It's not sustainable, which is why that second half lead went the way that it did. I mean, again, the 11-3 run from Dallas in the third. And then at one point, Seattle went 1 for 7. And, Dallas had three straight possessions where they scored two threes, and then they had an and one. So, like, you're giving up a 9-point spread in like a minute and a half. It's not conducive. Again, I understand that, this team still has a lot more to work on. Camp is only so long. But the things that we are seeing are the same issues that we saw last year. A lack of bench, a lack of trusting the bench, and also just production outside of the stars. It's not there. And on paper, this bench is supposed to be a lot better than what we're getting right now. I just don't understand. I mean, the defensive presence of AC, that's great. But as far as when you need a bucket, I mean, defense really hasn't been an issue for Seattle recently. It's been a lack of offense. And then also the lack of offense, I mean, you going on the other end, that you're tired of, really running in transition for most of the game. It's like, well, they just get easy buckets. That's really what it's been for the last two games. And like it gets to a point where you wonder what has to change
Yeah.
because the offense isn't. I mean, I feel bad because it's two games in, but at the same time, my eyes can't unsee what I'm seeing. This is 2024 all over again. We're just missing Joe Lloyd.
Jesus.
So I'm guessing that
Slap
at
the new
some
coat
point,
of paint on it.
yeah, we can slap a new coat of paint on it. It's great, but the foundation, the structure of the house is shit. I mean, at the end of the listen, man. At the end of the day, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Skylar Diggins, Nneka Ogwumike, and Gabby Williams. That is it. As he steps up, I think as he had was it 7 points?
Yes, sir.
Um, yeah, 7 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal in the block. Very productive night, but there are going to be nights where you need 10, 15 points from Ezi. So I gotta see it, man. I do. Two games in, was I overreacting like this last year? I don't think I was. But last year you had Joe Lloyd on the roster. Last year, you had a bench that Coach Quinn was more likely to go to.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess not playing at all, not seeing the court at all for Lexi or Isaiah, that's what bothers me. A DNP CD when it's like
Yes.
they could have both been utilized when you needed it, especially in that third half when Alicia Clark isn't giving you anything, Erica Wheeler isn't really giving you anything, and you're just going like 8 deep, 9 deep. That's that. No.
Yeah. No, I think that's the biggest thing is when I'm looking at this box score, right? You're looking at the box and I'm like, just the DNP CD that cannot happen. Um, for a few reasons. One, again, I'm gonna hammer this all season, is how much belief they injected, whether they actually believe in that or not about these two players, right? As well as it's not acceptable for what we talked about, I think in the when the final rosters got dropped, you've got 44 games to play this year. That is the most, they're gonna play, or legal grow, whatever. But it's not healthy to play Gabby 39 minutes. Can AC's body handle 36 minutes a night at 37? I don't want to have to ask that question. You know, pushing Skylar and Nneka at 36 and 35 respectively. It's like you got to spell these people. You got to handle it. Like God forbid something happens to any one of your starters, right? And especially again, it's not her fault. I feel terrible saying this, but with how Katie Lou's situation has, this feels bad to say, but hamstrung this roster, right? To 10, like we'll be look like I was even editing again Jess's article, and I was like, this feels short. Am I missing somebody? No, it's just you have a short roster. Um, yeah, man. So for a multitude of reasons, that is concerning. And again, as you mentioned, yes, it is a game two, but it's like some habits just stick, right? When things get tough, what do? You revert back to what you know, and they're reverting back to what they know. I am, as you mentioned, just wondering when this sort of non-trust with the bench like flips, because I mean these are accomplished players in this league. These aren't a bunch. This isn't five rookies on this bench. This is one rookie and a bunch of players. Like, God bless Dick Fain and his voice. It sounds like he's going to need a tea after every game. But like, there's he's mentioned it. I think he mentioned it ahead of the opener. There's a ton of veteran minutes on this bench. I guess one of my big things, I guess, to wrap us up for this game is you kind of touched on it, right, with the long Euro season, and she still impacts the game in other facets. But are you concerned about Ezi early on? I mean, like, she is one of the players, like with AC and like with Gabby, that they mentioned. They mentioned on media day all being asked to produce more offensively. You talk about it with Jewel gone. It's like Moneyball. They're going to have to replace her in the aggregate, right? Which isn't really a thing, but you know, I don't know. Just seeing these things, these games, it is early, but I don't know. Again, I think you two, us two have some of the most confidence in Ezi Magbegor and her ability, right? I mean, just it's remarkable. It was fun editing again and going back to Jess's article, but her throwing in an aggressive Ezi is a dominant Ezi thing because this is true. I mean, we all know this, right? Coach knows it. Coach has said it. Um, so I don't know. What are you thinking about Ezi 2 games in? Because again, she is impacting the game, but it's not quite what we've seen from her, and we know she can do, especially at such a young age. Also, granting that grace for her continuing to grow in this league and stuff of that nature. But I don't know. Where are you at with Ezi through 2 games?
The reason why I feel like Ezzy deserves more grace than most other players in this roster right now for the lack of production is the fact that she ran a really long Olympiad last year. Like, and
Mm,
then you leave. I mean, you have a season, the WNBA. You leave for the Olympics. You go back. You finish the season. You go to the first round, and then you immediately go 2 months later to USK Praha over in Prague, and then you have a very long Euro season. You win the Euro League, and it's like, well, at this point, what do you do? I mean, she's played so much. You have to kind of give that grace as far as a coach or the staff in general. I'm not really worried about it, to be honest with you, for the
mm.
simple fact that we know what Ezzy is, we know what Ezzy can be. It just really comes down to Ezzy just doing it, you know. Um, you see, like, I had to Google it because I was like, wait, I could have sworn Gabby won this year for EuroLeague. No, that was last year. Um, yeah, Ezzy, EuroLeague first team, EuroLeague champion, and then you come over back and it's like, well, there's training camp, and then you have to get ready for the W season. That is a lot. That's a lot. If she wasn't being productive at all, like something like that, then I would be worried. But she's in there, she's getting the rebound, she set up the offense. She's just not really being aggressive. But when it comes to Ezzy, this is something that we've already known that's kind of been a trend throughout her professional career with Seattle. So it's not something I'm really like, oh man, this is a grave cause for concern. You gotta pop the hood and be like, yo, Ezzy, you good? Like, it's not like that. Yeah, I'm not worried about Ezzy at all. They don't win
Yeah,
this game without her, honestly, defensively. I mean, that's one thing I think I love the most about Ezzy's game. She doesn't have to get a block every time. She just looks at players sometimes and it's like, yeah,
I'm
I'm gonna go that way.
gonna
That
make a
that means
business decision.
I'm gonna make a business decision. I don't want to end up on SportsCenter. Um,
This is true.
by the way, that block from in the field game that should have been on SportsCenter. I mean, that was a spike. I mean, come on,
It's
man.
still crazy to think
It was
about.
a, it was a spike.
It
But
is.
yeah, I just want the fans and people that watch the show to know that Soccer in Seattle Sports is never going to sugarcoat anything, especially when it comes to this team. They don't play well. We're going to say they play great. They're number one fan, you know, but there comes a time when you have to call a spade a spade.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's just kind of where we are right now. But we'll
That's
see as the
just
season develops and what goes on.
that's how reporting goes, man. I mean, I'm not here to baby nobody. right? Like, so I don't think either of us are here to baby nobody. God forbid. Yeah, man. I don't know. At the end of the day, yeah, it's just I think it's encouraging to see the way that, your top three players performed in Sky, Nneka, Gabby. Like I am concerned about, I guess. I think you mentioned Sky's usage actually during the game. Um, See, this is great because it's like I don't need to fake, trust in a Storm reporter and aggregate shit when my guy actually knows what he's doing. Crazy thought. Um, I'm happy with that. I just, I think my big concern leaving this game, and I'll probably write about it, is just the bench. Like, yeah, again, like DNPs for Lexi and Zaya, not acceptable. 1 minute from Dominique Malanga, not acceptable. Yeah, we can't just have her taking photos with Wemby post game and have that be the most screen time she's getting. Right. So,
Listen, man. You can't come to this season after praising Lexi Brown and Erica Wheeler for being these veteran presences, I think.
mhm.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm not very good at English, and that's my first language. But but yeah, it's just you can't come to the season singing the praises and not playing them when it actually matters, you know? There are several instances throughout that game where it's like, okay, you know, you need a three. Why don't you bring in Lexi or, you know, Erica's not really having the greatest night right now. She keeps getting trapped on the screen. So why don't you bring in someone that doesn't really get that happen that often to with, Zaya? I mean, there was just so many different points in that game where I'm like, no one is running to the ball to help Skylar. And I asked coach about that yesterday. Oh, not yesterday, but before pregame. And she was like, that's really just our spacing, not even about the double set Phoenix is bringing. I'm like, yeah, well, that's spacing. Why aren't they helping her out? I mean, Skylar only had, um, let me double check this real quick, but her usage right now through two
Mhm.
games is the highest it's ever been in her career.
Jesus.
Um, 1 second. Yeah, right now it is at 34.7%. It has never been above 30 in her career.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the highest it was in 20. The highest it was in before this was 28.6, I believe, and that was the year after Phoenix made the finals in Chicago.
Okay.
So it's like this is kind of like one of the main issues I had with New York's offense last year until they actually figured it out. Like, there's no way in the world that half of your assists should be coming from Courtney Vanderson. Like, you got to figure it out. Someone else has to actually get in there and organize the offense. They figured it out eventually. D.R. Sably was helping out. Sav took more of a leadership role. Seattle has to find that. You know, you have to. I mean, hell, if we have to run Lexi and Eric at the same time just to spell Gabby and Skylar, I mean, you have to do that. I just don't want to see an all bench lineup again. That's all. Because that was not free. It's not free.
Yeah. No. So, yeah, there's always a few things that stick out to me, especially when you point them out. And that I was the usage, especially. I was like, oh, like I don't have the disbelief she can do it. But I just don't think she should have to. Right? I think that's my thing. She shouldn't have to.
That's exactly where I'm at with it, man. Like, yes, I understand she's a point guard. Point guards have the ball a lot. Like, we get that. But no way in the world should Skylar have to be above 30% usage rate at like 34 years old. That's just not, and she turned 35 this year. That cannot be the case. You invested in the backup point guard spot. You invested in the shooting guard spot next to her. Then we have to use those players. I'm just that's where I'm at with it, man. And, you know, maybe the script changes going into the next game. Actually, okay, the next game is
Phoenix at
uh,
home Friday.
that is yeah, because I know they played Phoenix like I think it was twice in the first three games. Yeah, What's up with the team? What's up with the league giving the Wings 3 games against Skylar's old teams, man? Like, come on, man. Let that story die.
Got that. Well, and then you got that, and then 2 days later, after the Phoenix game, you get the Jewel Lloyd comes home game on the 25th with Vegas coming here. So it's you know, I know there are no, so to say, layups in this league, but like it's not like Seattle's getting an easy turn of things in their first 4 games with who they're playing, right? Like, yeah. um,
That game is gonna be ugly as hell, man. Oh my God.
it,
If Vegas comes in like
oh
the Vegas, I know they can be, and if Jill Lloyd plays with a battery in her back, like I know she can and probably will, it's gonna be ugly, man. They thought Unrivaled was something. No, this is yeah.
it's there will be sparks. Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule and I'm like,
Sparks
again,
will fly.
there's again, I know there's no layups, but
Yeah.
like you don't play a Golden State until mid-June. Like
Oh my God.
Phoenix, Las Vegas, head to Minnesota. Then you got a little 3 game homie. Why are you playing everybody again? You play Atlanta here. Good deal with BG. Oh the Lord. Oh, and that team that loves to shoot threes now. That's right.
We got Lee Rue. So I mean, hey, and I'm not saying that
uh,
sarcastic. I mean that seriously. Like she's 6'7", the Storm average.
yeah. No, again, don't get me wrong. You know how I feel about Leroux. Um, yeah, that little 3 game homestand against Atlanta. Vegas comes back. Vegas should just like rent a hotel or something at that point. And then
Yeah.
Dallas comes here. Then they go and play at Phoenix. Minnesota comes here. Then they go on the road. Yeah, schedules are weird. Anyway, um, anything you want to touch on before we get up out of here?
Um. Honestly, no. Just game one was ugly. This is ugly. You got the win, man, but it's one of those wins where it's like you're not satisfied. You know, I know the players aren't satisfied. I'm pretty sure Noe isn't satisfied. The fans aren't satisfied. I mean, from what I saw, it wasn't it wasn't Seattle Storm basketball. I mean, it was Gabby Williams, Skylar Diggins, and Nneka Ogwumike, and just the rest. It was Gladys Knight in the Pips, really. So we'll see. Hopefully, that's not the case the rest of the season.
Yeah, man.
You
We'll see.
never want to be the Pips.
Things could change, but you know,
Yeah.
you gotta trust your bench, man. I mean, you didn't bring these players in. You didn't trade for Alexi Brown to not play her, right? You didn't.
Actually, no, I do have one thing I want to say.
All right.
Jade Melvin.
Oh yeah,
Can we get into that real quick before we get out of here?
yeah. No,
Like,
that's
listen,
good.
man.
I
Storm fans are hitting me up all weekend because I've been watching more, or tweeting and writing more about the league as a whole. And
yeah.
fans were like, "Yo, so we really traded." I was like, "Hold on, I don't know who we is. I didn't do anything.
He said, "Oh,
Hold on, now.
who
Who
is
is we?"
we?"
And then someone brought it to my attention. Um, I think it was I can't remember that one comment, but it's an Ezi Stan page.
Hmm.
Um, they basically were like, "Yeah, so that pick became Madison Connor," and I was
Oh,
like, and I was like, for the last 2 seasons, I've been saying, could you imagine Jade Melbourne on this team, like as the backup guard? Like, I probably wouldn't have any real worries about the guard rotation if that was the case.
mm,
I mean, I felt like one, they gave up on it too quickly, and two,
yeah.
like you give up an Australian point guard. Like those are usually good. Those are really good. I mean, look at Sammy. She's a combo. She was really good for you when she played. I mean, she's really good
And
for Phoenix. You know,
Seattle has that Australian pipeline, so I don't. Yeah. Yeah, man. That like, truth be
hey,
told,
Washington's happy. I know that.
yeah. Well, and I mean, and they're in a much better situation than I think I thought a lot of us thought they'd be at some point when we were in the off season, right? It was just like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Seemed like they know what they were doing. Um,
And Georgia ain't even played yet. Like
yeah,
you playing with
yeah.
house money at this point, man. Like, man, if
This
she
league
was
is
healthy, if she was healthy, we'd be having some real conversations, right?
um
Oh man,
really quickly before I say my thing on Jade Melbourne. Um, as Christian talks about, he's been doing a little bit more looking around the league as a whole. You can find him on Twitter. God forbid that place at Off the Record W. It's where he does a lot more of the league wide stuff. It's always like I keep track of shit, but with the amount of stuff we've got going on at CSS, I don't really have time to like necessarily watch all these games, the other games. It's like I just look at Christian stuff. I don't need to look anywhere else. Um, I,
appreciate
I'm
it,
gonna
man.
claim some naivete. I was unsure when they traded Jade last season, right? It
Yeah,
was last season? Yeah.
yeah, it was last year.
Because they ended up essentially picking Nneka, right?
Yeah,
Do I need to say more than the heavy sigh I let out? Like, I don't know. I was a supporter of Jade Melvin. I mean, I talked to her numerous times when others wouldn't around here because it's just like, hey, this is a bench player, right? She didn't get much of anything minutes wise. I understand that, but it was just really interesting to see once she got, you kind of take the reins off and let her go in Washington a little bit. I think was it against us here in Seattle, ahead of the Olympics when she kind of let that thing fly, and I was like, hmm, isn't that interesting?
I remember that game. She made more threes than every Seattle Storm player on the roster
Yeah,
in that game, and I
yeah,
was pissed. I was pissed. 'Cause I'm like,
right. So,
backup guard was one of their biggest issues last year, and it's
yep.
like, hey, this is
It,
why they don't pay me to make decisions.
mm, well, I mean, depending on how the
Probably
season
should.
goes, they might need to. Yeah, is we'll get out of here before I get in trouble. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, man. Yeah, we'll have I should be coming from you live from Climate Pledge. Again, I don't know where the hell I'm going to record this. Conversion crew might be going crazy on something by the time we get out there. But we'll be doing the show after the home opener against Phoenix. We'll see if Seattle gets some revenge there. Kalia's Copper's out for a few weeks, right? She's out. Yeah, okay. So I mean, they'll get a pass there again, but who knows? With how Phoenix played against Seattle, they might not need it. Like, which is crazy to say. But anyway, so we see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day. Maybe don't trade your backup point guard.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, were you going to watch the Seattle Storm away games this year?
Away games. Well, Rough and Tumble is the home of Circling Seattle Sports. So I was thinking of coming here if that's okay with you.
I think that makes a lot of sense. See you all here.